morning. Well, we were talking about speculative interest buoying the NSE in the course of last week and saying that on account of that, we should see the markets due for a possible correction in the short term. What are you making of the movement we're seeing? And was Friday's knockback being attributed at any level to a correction on the markets?
Yes, good morning, Alicia. It's definitely a correction, and it's really driven by profit taking. The market has moved 12% up year to date, and investors are looking at where they have made so much profit, particularly in the banking sector. Non-banking shares have also done very well. So it's purely a correction, really. Being
noted, though, is that we have been seeing pretty small volumes being traded on the NSE. That would exaggerate any participation we're seeing, whether it be with regards to speculators, local retail investors, or even foreign institutional investors. Is that correct?
Well, looking at the value traded on a daily basis, it's beginning to inch higher. Last week we saw week on week, there was definitely an improvement. In fact, I think sometime last week we saw value traded as high as 5 billion. We haven't seen that in months. So that's a positive development. I'll continue to look at that number and see where it settles at, because it's a real indicator of the fact that investors are coming back to the market. The moves we've seen up to now really are driven by foreign investors and to a less extent local institutional players. Mm-hmm. We think that until we see more from the retail side and a lot more from the local institutions, we think that the market's recovery will be range bound, really, because most investors are really looking at the asset management company as the savior of the market this year.
Well, Renaissance Capital certainly believes that with the arrival of the new month and as some cash investments mature, local fund managers may have a tough call to make whether to roll over cash with a maximum real yield of 1% or increase their equity holdings. How are you playing the market at the moment?
No, the situation in the money market is clearly positive for the stock market. As you mentioned, the yields on the money market are very low at this time. And that's another reason why I think many investors might begin to look at the stock market. So I think the correction we're seeing will probably be very short-lived. Perhaps by the end of the week, we might see the market turning up again. So definitely this year, we're looking at a very positive equity market. Generally, we're cautiously optimistic simply because of the fact that the market is likely to be range-bound until we see issues like the asset management company being sorted out and coming and having an impact on the market. And also, I think one thing to consider as well is the market's historical performance. Over the last 2 years, that's lost 70%. It's coming from a very low base, and I think that the downside risk is extremely low. We're likely to see the market continue to go up in the next couple of weeks.
Well, certainly the formation of that AMC is one of the big X factors that's plaguing the market at the moment, keeping investors pretty cautious at this stage of the game. In the meantime, we are seeing results trickle through. I mean, we had Guinness Nigeria releasing Q2 results, PAT down 10.87%. What did you make of those numbers released?
Well, the PAT figure is lower, but looking at it, comparing it to the first quarter result is actually an improvement. I think in that quarter we saw PAT down about 25% or thereabouts. So there is an improvement. Actually, our estimate is that for the year ending June, we'll probably see Guinness recording an improvement year on year, and we're placing it right now at a forward P of about 14 times earnings, forward earnings. We think that the price where it is probably where it should be. We don't see that much upside going forward.
How does it compare to some of the other brewers in the sector, Nigerian breweries, for example, which has long been one of the favorites in the sector?
Well, Guinness and Nigerian breweries have always been the favorites in that sector simply because of their dominant market positions. Nigerian breweries' earnings, which we've seen up to now, have been very positive. We haven't seen a decline like we've seen in Guinness. We think that the results, full year results, we should be out maybe in another month or so, should be very positive. But I think it will only support the current price. I think that result has already been priced in. We don't see that much upside in Guinness and Nigerian breweries in the short term. However, at a yield of about 6 to 7%, they're very attractive for portfolio investors, I think.